Entering fantasy football season, here's a few running backs I have as sleepers this year. The first guy, Donta Foreman of the Chicago Bears. I feel Donta Foreman the last couple of years, he's definitely been solid and a number 2 running back when he gets playing time for your fantasy team, or decent flex option. So last season, after the trade of McCaffrey, he was the man over there in Carolina, but they didn't decide to re-up with him, and they signed Miles Sanders in the offseason. So 203 carries, 914 rush yards, 5 touchdowns, 5 catches, 26 yards. So right now, we know he's an in-between-the-tackle runner, is Donta Foreman. We know he's going to be a short yard type of runner with Khalil Herbert most likely being the third down back and a guy getting earlier work as well in possibly a 3-head split over there in Chicago. But Foreman, like I said, he's going to get some goal line touches. We saw him have a few explosive games, over 120 rushing yards last season. And this Chicago offense, believe it or not, they got some weapons. And with the threat of Justin Fields running as well, that could open things up in the running back game for this team, because a lot of QB spies we're going to see on Fields. And like I said, Foreman, he's a physical runner in between the tackles. So right now, after the draft so far, he's out there in 55% of fantasy leagues. And we definitely could see possibly a split or like a 60-40 way going with Herbert in the backfield. So right now, Foreman, he's pretty much one injury away of being the running back over there for the Chicago Bear team. And we saw what he's capable of last season in one of the worst offenses in the league. And like I said, this Bear team has weapons in DJ Moore, Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Kmet. So right now, I think he's definitely a good sleeper option, is Foreman this year. And right now, he's getting drafted in fantasy leagues, but towards the back end, and obviously not drafted more than 50% of leagues. Next running back's Jerick McKinnon of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Jerick McKinnon last season, he was a nice gadget guy, and obviously passing downs running back. Last year, 72 carries, 291 rush yards, a touchdown, 56 catches, 512 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. So McKinnon right now, he's still available after fantasy drafts that have happened so far in 46% of fantasy leagues. Anything for the running back position is this Chief team in the offseason. So Ronald Jones, he left, but they weren't using him anyway. He went to the Dallas Cowboys, and it's pretty much going to be Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, and McKinnon once again in the backfield here for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So like I said, I think he's still going to be locked in that role, third down role and passing downs role for this Chiefs team. And they lost some receivers as well and already dealing with injuries. Ross in training camp's banged up. Kadarius Toney, he had surgery early in training camp, even though they're saying he's going to be ready for week 1. But still, McKinnon, I think, is a perfect guy out of the backfield and a guy they lined up in different areas of the field. So right now, obviously playing with a dynamic and the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes is McKinnon. And Andy Reid knows how to get him in spots over there as well. So Jerick McKinnon, he's going about 13th, 14th round range in most fantasy drafts right now. And he's a guy in PPR leagues, but upside is a low-end number 2 running back and obviously a flex option. So right now, he's definitely a sleeper for me. And like I said, last season, he had a pretty solid year. And towards the end of the year, was in that number 2 running back conversation for your fantasy team. The next running back, on Aikney for the Miami Dolphins. So right now, he's coming in rookie season here, and there's a lot of rave reviews about Aikney as well in training camp. So right now in fantasy drafts, he's going about the same range, 12th, 15th round like Jerick McKinnon, and it looks like he's got a good shot of possibly being the starter over there in Miami. Obviously, with very injury-prone running backs in Jeff Wilson Jr., Raheem Mostert over there, so it could be a 3-way committee, which obviously ruins all plans for fantasy owners. But right now, I think with Dalvin Cook not signing, and they need some more juice in that backfield, and he's more of an in-between-the-tackles guy than Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. here. I definitely could see him getting carries early in the season. This Dolphin team, we know they're in a tough division, but all the hypes with the New York Jets. And if they could get a good running back going with obviously 2 dynamic and one of the best tandems, if not the best tandems, at the receiver position this year with obviously Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think he could be a sleeper, and it wouldn't be surprising to me in his rookie year if he gets a real opportunity that he could rush anywhere from 700 to 800 yards this year and have 5 or 6 touchdowns. So right now, where he's going ADP-wise, with possibly being a starter in the middle of the season, even early in the season, I have him as a sleeper this year. The next running back, Samaje Perine for the Denver Broncos. I know Javonte Williams, he's back already, which is very good to see after tearing an ACL later in the season, and he's already on the field and going to play in preseason. So Samaje Perine last season, I thought he was a great backup and one of the best backups in all fantasy football last year in the NFL. 95 carries, 394 rush yards, and 2 touchdowns, and 38 catches, 287 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. So Perine, he could do a little bit of everything. And he's bounced around early in his career, but then he was with the Commanders for a few years. He was a decent backup there. Then with Cincinnati, he's a good backup over the last few years, especially last year. We had to step in for Mixon at times. And now he goes to a Bronco team where it's just Javonte Williams and him pretty much as the competition. And it wouldn't be surprising to me, especially early in the year, if it's almost a 50-50 split, because we know that ACL takes time. And usually guys get back to form in that second season off the ACL. So Perine right now, he's going anywhere from 9th to the 12th round. And if he's going to get an opportunity, to be honest, he could be a top 15, top 20 running back if he's going to get the full workload over there if something happens to Javonte once again. So right now, if you're drafting him as a bench piece, he's definitely a valuable player, in my opinion, is Samaje Perine. And definitely a sleeper this year. And the 5th and final running back I have as a sleeper this season is Jaylen Warren of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm not sold on Najee Harris. I had him last season in a couple leagues, and it's very frustrating. And Jaylen Warren, as the weeks was going on, he was eating into Harris's workload. And right now, he's a running back in most fantasy drafts that's going undrafted, available still in 71% of fantasy leagues here is Warren. So last year, 77 carries, 379 rush yards, a touchdown, 28 catches, 214 receiving yards on 33 targets. So he's a better passing downs running back than Najee Harris. I know Mike Tomlin, he usually likes going with a one running back system, but this kid Warren's got talent, and a lot of rave reviews last season in the year and in training camp as well, we've heard about it. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if Harris early in the season is a 70 to 30 type of workload, where Harris obviously has the favor, but as the season goes on, and if Warren makes more explosive plays, which I think he is more of an explosive running back, especially in the passing game, he's going to get more work as Warren. He could be a sleeper. And if something did happen to Harris, I think he's a perfect running back number 2 for fantasy owners. So right now, while he's getting drafted either in the last couple rounds or not drafted at all, obviously available in 71% of fantasy leagues, I think Warren has a good outlook this season, and it's definitely a running back that's a sleeper this year. So that's a few running backs I have as sleepers entering the 2023 fantasy football season.